Hi, and welcome back to my channel for the love of organizing. I'm Laura, and I share my tips on creating an inspired home and life you'll love with budget-friendly finds. Let's kick off this fall Goodwill challenge with this glass pumpkin, one we actually picked up last year for only $2, but I had an idea to transform it. I'm going for a distressed look in my favorite color, turquoise. No surprise there. Here it is before on our side table, and a closer look with the lid here to the side. I'm going to go ahead and take this into the kitchen and take a cream chalk paint that I already had on hand and just add in a little bit of turquoise acrylic paint. It should be fine, just stirring and being careful that the shade doesn't get too vibrant. Then it was time to put the first coat on both the lid and the jar. Starting with the jar, working with a 1/2-inch brush, and you'll see a little glass peeking through at different parts, but that goes away with the second coat, so no worries. And then I'm using the same technique on the lid. The chalk paint dries pretty quickly, which is really nice, so I was ready to add the second coat within 20 or so minutes. Then I let everything dry completely before moving on to this next step. I rushed a little to get this part done just because I didn't want to film in the evening, but ideally I would have let this dry overnight. Now, to keep this simple, I decided to just apply the antique wax that I already had, and I'll link to everything below, but I decided to apply that in the crevices with a small clean paintbrush, and made sure to have a damp paper towel nearby to quickly wipe away the areas where I didn't want that darker color to stay. Now, it is important to move quickly here, so you see I'm doing 1 or 2 sections at a time. For the top of the pumpkin, I'm using the same approach. And just a side note, this is no longer food or dishwasher safe, but it's just more of a decor piece now, and I think it was worth it, especially to have this pretty blue hue. Okay, here's the finished product on our coffee table. Just to see how it looks there, I think I prefer it there. And I'm also going to take it over to the side table so you can have a really nice before and after. My next finds were these 3 photo frames. They had definitely seen better days and were ready for a makeover. You can see the price on the glass here. 2 were 65 cents, and the third was marked down to just 25 cents, if you can believe that, which brings my total so far for this challenge to $3.55. I gave them a quick cleaning, removed the glass in the back section, and added a paper towel for the frame where the back was still attached, just to help prevent any excess paint from transferring. Now I'm going to start with the frame that has the most detail, and I'll be using that same turquoise chalk paint from the pumpkin project, and also bringing in a new product I found at Joann Crafts. It's actually a metallic paint by Decor, and it's in the color Worn Penny. I started with one coat of the chalk paint, allowing it to dry, and then going in with the second coat. And working on the more detailed areas, I dabbed the brush to really get down into the cracks and crevices there. And while that was drying, doing a bit of multitasking, I'm going to go ahead and use cream chalk paint on the second and third frame. Same process here, and the magic happens in just a moment when I add the finishing touches to each frame so that they complement one another, and hopefully you come away with a few ideas for projects in your own home. Of course, you want to pay special attention to ensure adequate coverage of your frames from a variety of angles. And now it's time to go back to that turquoise frame. I'm going to take that water-based metallic paint and let it sink into the cracks and crevices, quickly wiping away the excess with a clean, damp paper towel as I go. I'm working in small sections so the paint doesn't dry before I'm finished working with it. Now that I've finished the inside section, there's also a nice ridge here that I think will look really great with just a touch of that copper. So adding that and then wiping away, and the same for the four corners. I decided to print out some photos my husband has taken during our travels, starting with this waterfall photo. And moving on to the two cream colored frames. For the larger one, I'm going to add a nice touch of the metallic paint to the outside. And it is the perfect home for this photo my husband took in Idaho. Now for a different technique on this last frame, I'm going to be doing quite a bit of layering of the paints to give it a bit of a wood grain look. I started with the metallic color, and don't worry if it's too heavy because, as you'll see, I'm going to add in some ivory chalk paint over top once the metallic coat has dried, and then just kind of keep working there and bring in a few dabs of turquoise acrylic paint. Now for adding the turquoise, I like to just use my fingers and just quickly manipulate the paint, but do whatever works best for you that you're comfortable with. Now to tie everything together, once the layers were dry, I added tape to help me create a metallic border. And of course painter's tape would have probably been ideal here, but my Scotch tape did the trick in a pinch. And this has always been a fun photo. It's one that my husband took in Oregon while we were camping, and I just think it's so cute. So here's a look at all three finished frames, and then a close-up of the waterfall photo in my office alongside another photo and just a few things that I've added here. Of course, I'll probably rearrange a few times, but wanted to give you a look at the current state of the bookshelves here. Now, before I move on to my last item, I would love if you'd leave me a comment below to let me know which one of these frames is your favorite. We've got the turquoise and metallic frame with the waterfall, the ivory and copper frame that you saw with that abandoned house, or the wood look finish. Now one more find to round out this $5 challenge. This little kitchen scale was just $1, which took my total for the challenge to $4.55. And I leave it out by our cookbooks, and I think it's pretty cute and functional. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I love interacting with you, so leave me a comment below. When I'm not here on YouTube, I'm over on Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook, and would love to connect with you there as well.